missed a Johnny. You haven't missed shit. We haven't started. We're just about to start right now. And we're not going to start with a Johnny. We're going to start with Aerial Assault.
Oh shit, what up?
2 and a white, destroy target tapped creature. You gain 1 life for each creature you control with flying. So Assassinate. Assassinate is a card that's very difficult to make work in a aggressive deck. Because you want to be able to kill an opposing blocker, so you can serve in with your Goblin Pikers and stuff. And this is an Assassinate reprint. It's a little bit better, right? It's got better flavor, you know, like the birds coming down because it's Aerial Assault and stuff. And it rewards you for having flyers. So it's a well-designed card. It's sweet. But you're really going to want to be in on flying if you're going to be an aggressive deck playing this. Otherwise, if you're playing a control deck, perfectly good removal spell. Don't need any flyers. Don't need shit. Let's kill this shit. You're pretty much always going to play this card in sealed. And I think I would rarely play it in draft. I'd have to be in on flyers, probably. Or I'd have to be playing a control deck. But you're way more likely to be an aggro deck in draft, I think. Anyway, a Johnny, Strength of the Pride, 2 white, 5 loyalty, +1, gain life equal to the number of creatures you control, plus the number of planeswalkers you control. Unexciting, but it pairs really well with the -2. -2, create a 2/2 Johnny Pridemate token. I'm going to assume that we all know what a Johnny Pridemate does. So when it just comes into play, you can double down ticket for 2 Johnny Pridemates. Pretty fucking sweet, especially if you're already building your deck around a Johnny Pridemate. This is a nice way to have some redundancy in your deck. If you're doing the life gain, giant creature, Soul Sisters thing. And then the 0 ability is also pretty nice, because those decks tend to gain a pile of life. And then a lot of times that advantage goes away when the opponent stabilizes and then kill all their creatures and murder them, right? But the 0 says if you have at least 15 life more than your starting life total, you can exile the Ajani and each artifact and creature your opponents control. And it's a 0 ability, so if you double down tick, you can still activate it. Personally, with the amount of Planeswalker nonsense that's going on in Standard, I would have preferred it to exile opposing walkers as well. I would have even pushed it further. But it's a sweet card. They've certainly made worse Ajani's. How much play is this card going to see? That's hard to say. It's hard to say. Sometimes those cards can surprise you, right? I don't see this card like dominating a format or like taking over anything like that. But will it be competitive in Standard? Maybe at some point. Y'all remember that 5-mana 5/5 horse that, like, if you gained 5 life or if you gained life that turn, you get like a 5/5 indestructible horse? And that card was like, mono white life gain was like viable for like a few weeks in there in that Standard format. I don't know. That's kind of the same role I see this card in. Where if the meta lines up right, it might just get to crush for a bit. It's just gonna be a Wrath in some deck. Yeah, some decks just gaining life and popping fools. I wonder if you'll see play in Modern with Martyr. Martyr plays sweepers. I don't know. All right, Ancestral Blade. I like this card a lot. I think the art's sweet. I think the ability is sweet. In Limited, you're playing Goblin Pikers all the damn time. You're playing 2-mana 2/2s all the damn time. And this is one that gives you some residue value. So this is the sort of card that I think people are going to underestimate. Because very often it's correct to play like a 1-mana equipment that just gives +1/+1. Just like a much worse version of this card. You could play like 4 of these in a deck. Easily. Maybe more. And I think you could pick it a little bit earlier than most people are going to. I wouldn't pick it over like quality removal or bombs or anything like that. But I would pick it over a lot of creatures. For sure. Card seems sweet. Rootballa says that Ancestral Blade is actually going to be great in Standard. Interesting. Yeah, maybe. Like I was saying earlier before we started the set review, I have played way worse equipment in Standard. So I'm just going to shut up because Angel of Vitality, 3-mana, 2/2 flyer, uncommon. If you gain life, you gain that much life +1 instead. Some nice little synergies with the set already. And then it gets +2/+2 as long as you have 25 or more life. So it's 5 more than your starting life total. It also buffs your life gain effects. And the nice thing about this card, is that its life gain abilities aren't busted. They're not overpowered. They're powered appropriately for an uncommon. And then it's also incidental, right? You want to play a 3-mana 2/2 flyer anyway. And there's flying synergies in the set. Neat little design. Angelic Gift, 2-mana enchantment aura. Enters the battlefield, draw a card. Enchanted creature has flying. Meh. It cycles. It'll never be that bad. I usually only play like 1 or 2. And there's flying synergies in the set, so maybe it's better than it was last time around. It wasn't bad last time around. Hey, Baba Brandy, thanks for the resub. Thanks for 3 months. Am I going to be playing any after the set review? We'll see. We'll see how much time we have and whether I'll have time for like a league or something. Maybe I'll just play some matches. We'll see. Apostle of Purifying Light, 2 mana for a 2/1 pro black. Exiles cards from the graveyard. Okay. I mean, random protection knights have a way of showing up. God, there's so much graveyard hate in this set. We haven't really dug into the set yet, but there's a lot of graveyard hate in this set, even just at uncommon. Yeah, I like the incidental graveyard hate. It's not overpowered, but it's a nice stopgap on a possibly main deckable creature. Constructed, of course. Protection from black is probably a little bit worse than limited, but it's still gonna be a fine Goblin Piker. Wouldn't pick it too highly. Battalion Foot Soldier, 3 mana for a 2/2. You search your library for any number of cards named Battalion Foot Soldier. So I like those cards. I like these cards in limited too, like the Squadron Hawk, just like a way to focus your draft early on. Like you see a pack that you don't like really early on, like doesn't excite you, and you're like, all right, guess I'm going Battalion Foot Soldiers. Bam, drafting every one of these I see. Is this a good card? It is. I'm gonna take a Foot Soldier anyway. You know, just stack your deck with those and just try and overrun your opponent. I don't know why that's satisfying to me. It kind of reminds me of Seven Wonders style drafting. You're like, what? How can you guys win? I have all the Foot Soldiers. What were you doing? Look how many points I should get. All right, Bishop of Wings. Every once in a while, that style of effect will show up in Standard too. A lot of the times, depending on its creature type or whether, I mean, Squadron Hawk's the one that everyone remembers because it was so good with Jace and in equipment. But the Vampire one recently saw some Standard play. Card wasn't the worst. Bishop of Wings, double white for a 1/4. Whenever an angel enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 4 life. That is a rare, I suppose. Whenever an angel you control dies, get a 1/1 spirit creature token with flying. Oh man, I keep on jamming angel tribal. There was actually a spot where I was just like playing random knights in the 2-drop because the 2-drops were so bad. In angel tribal, like mono white. I think I would play this card. If you're playing like a bunch of like Lyras and Shalais and stuff anyway, why not, right? And doesn't this combine well with the 3/3 that like spits out a value 4/4? Isn't that a curve? Just 2 mana, 1/4. Turn 3, make a 3/3 flyer. Triggers, gain 4 life, end of turn, get a 4/4 vigilance. Yeah, so I'm guessing mono white angels is not going to be good, but I'm going to get hyped up about it anyway. I hope that's okay with you folks. The fat butt seems nice. The fat butt seems really nice. Burn has to invest 2 burn spells to kill it, and if they don't kill it, they're just going to lose to the life gain. And you get like value tokens if they answer your angels. Or a Splendid Angel needs 5 life for the 4/4 vigilance. Okay, thank you. Well, that's less busted, but still good. All right, thanks for chat for bringing me back down to earth. It's been a minute since I cast that card. All right. Brought back, white, instant. Choose up to 2 target permanent cards in your graveyard that are put there from the battlefield this turn. Return them to the battlefield tapped. I don't think this is... I mean, for limited play, Brought Back seems real situational, right? Like, not like the worst card ever, but not great either. I probably wouldn't pick it very highly. A lot of people have been talking about it in Modern, and I think it could actually be interesting there. It's not super interesting with fetch lands, right? Because then you're losing 2 life for each fetch land, and then you bring them back and lose another 2 life. So So you're losing 4 life, and then you're probably playing other colors and shocking yourself. You know, it's just obnoxious. The land's coming back into play tapped. A lot of the times you won't have 2 fetches, so it'll just be like a rampant growth for double white. You know, double white's kind of hard. On the other hand, if you're ghost quartering yourself, with what's that fucking white land, the legendary one, that when it dies you go get a plains. People do that shit a lot. Brought back with Wasteland. Yeah, I think there's better ways of getting back Wasteland in Legacy. Yeah, Flagstone. Yeah, Flagstone. This card seems sweet with Flagstone. Flagstone, Ghost Quarter. Bunch of fetch lands in that. Or like cracking a fetch and activating Field of Ruin. Doesn't seem crazy to be playing Brought Back afterwards. So that could help you ramp up. There's a few different like mono white Martyr proc decks that are already playing Flagstones and Ghost Quarters and stuff, and they actually don't mind the ramp. They've got that land that comes into play tapped. It's like a Myria, I think. Or if you have enough planes, you can start reanimating creatures from your graveyard, like for value. Another interesting idea for Brought Back is in the Steplink Scapeshift deck, the Landfall Scapeshift deck that played like Steplinks and other landfall creatures, Night of the Reliquaries, that sort of thing. And then it also ran Scapeshift because you can just do that in Modern. You just play a bunch of dual lands, right? Turn 4 Scapeshift, go get quad Flagstones, that sort of thing. Anyway, with Brought Back being like a super duper rampant growth for that deck, Scapeshift might just be killing people. I don't know. Worth testing. Is that a real deck? It hasn't been for a while. I've certainly cashed a few leagues with it. Any chance it's a fair second sunrise and eggs? Oh no. People were talking about it with like Lotus Bloom and stuff. That sounds sweet, but I don't think you're playing it like in an eggs deck to try and get back like 2 baubles or whatever. Like you don't want to build your own draw 2 cards. You can just cast a Night's Whisper and draw 2 cards, right? Cavalier of Dawn, 5 mana, 2 white. Elemental Knight, 4/6. Well, that's a bomb. Bomby type stats already. Vigilance. Enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. Its controller gets a 3/3 colorless golem. That's cool. So you can pop one of your own shitters. Or like a creature that's already been like taken out of combat with pacifism or something. And get a 3/3. Or you can pop your opponent's bomb. This Planeswalker or whatever it is that they can't deal with. Some 7/7. Make it a 3/3. Then when it dies, return target artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. Oh, that's some nice value too. Sweet. I don't know if this card will see constructed play. The triple white and the casting cost is pretty prohibitive. But having a beast within stapled to a body, it's not bad, right? It's not bad. And the potential value with the Leaves Play trigger, or the Death trigger. Yeah, Deckrai, it should be my my copyright-free playlist. Like right now I'm playing Monster Cat stuff. Monster Cat like very intentionally doesn't meet on VODs and stuff. And then the rest of the playlist should be copyright friendly as well. I haven't used this playlist in a while, so we'll see if I fucked up or not later. Which should be fine. Dawning Angel, 5 mana for a 3/2, enters the battlefield, gain 4 life, flying. Yeah, 5 mana for a 3/2 flyer would be a little bit below average in limited, whereas a 5 mana 3/4 flyer is like above average and pretty good. Gaining 4 life kind of makes up for it. Incidental life gain's pretty good in limited. And there's life gain synergies in this format. Daybreak's strong. 2 mana for a 1/3 lifelink. It's good. Good one to jump, good one to buff. And it's just like a fine blocker in the early turns. Real solid 2-drop. Devout Decree, 1 and a white. Sorcery, exile target creature or planeswalker that's black or red. Scry 1. Okay. Probably not main decking this in limited, but really good sideboard card, right? Really good sideboard card. It's not an instant like Celestial Purge, but you do get to scry 1. Probably going to see some standard play as well. I don't think it's going to replace Celestial Purge in Modern. that shows up as like a one of in sideboard slots. It's usually showing up as a one of in sideboard slots in Snapcaster decks and decks that might want to pop a Blood Moon. So the nice thing about instant speed on Celestial Purge against Blood Moon in Modern is your opponent goes Blood Moon on the stack. You're like, okay, in response, float a white mana with my dual land, you know? And then when it resolves, then you can purge it. You're not going to have that option with this decree, but it'll still see standard play. For sure. Disenchant, always good to have that one around. Eternal Isolation. Oh, I like the art on this one. It's a nice perspective. Like, the artist could have just, like, had it be, like, square framed, right, looking at him, and you wouldn't have really gotten the sense of loneliness, but him, like, looking away. Anyway. Looking out into the mountain of nothing. 1 in the white. Put target creature with power 4 or greater on the bottom of its owner's library. That's solid. A solid little piece of interaction. There's going to be some whiffs, right? There's going to be some whiffs on this card in Limited. But, you can main deck 1 as, like, filler. And then, obviously, there's going to be some matchups where it's just going to be your best card because your opponent's playing nothing but giant green creatures. And you're like, yep, give me all of these. The sense of scale. Yeah, the sense of scale is really, really good. Yeah, I like everything about this art. There's, like, some nice atmosphere in the background. The detail on the crags. Fencing Ace. Oldie but a goodie. Good one to pump. A lot of times, if you're not pumping Fencing Ace, it's just like a real medium 2-drop. But we've already seen a couple playable ways of pumping it up. Equipment, enchantments, that sort of thing. Really going to depend on your deck. Probably a below average 2-drop for a control deck. But like a really, like, if you're building around it, just really important. Top tier. Yeah, pump up the jam. Gauntlets of Light, 2 and a white, enchantment. Enchant creature gets +0/+2 and assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Enchanted creature has 2 and a white, untap this creature. It's a hard card to evaluate. I could see it being really hard to deal with. You throw it on some X7, give it pseudo vigilance, attack, untap it, you know? Because it's switching, because it's assigning combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, a good way to think about this card is just like the fact that it's giving +2/+2. Because it gets the toughness bonus, and then because it's dealing damage equal to its toughness, that's also a power bonus. Layering Aegis. This is a good one. A real powerful enchant creature. Enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. Gets +1/+3. Nice little aura. Nice little 1-mana aura. The more aggressive you are, the better this card gets. The more defensive you are, obviously the worst. Sweet though. If you can take advantage of both parts, right? The pump and the tap. +1/+3 is no slouch for 1 mana. It's gonna let you attack into larger creatures later on too. God's Willing. Always a solid trick. Pretty much always playable. Something cool about God's Willing in Limited is that if your opponent plays a... I'm going to turn this down slightly. Not a lot, just slightly. It's a great track. Alright, so one of the things about God's Willing in Limited is a lot of combat tricks, when you top deck them in the late game, it can be like too late. The thing about protection is, if your opponent has played a Pacifism on one of your creatures, you can just be like, okay, God's Willing, name white, the Pacifism falls off, attack with my creature. So it can be live even well into the late game, and then Scry 1 is nice. A lot of people have been talking about how God's Willing is going to make the Feather deck a lot better in Standard, and they're probably right. The Feather deck already had the Indestructible instant, but God's Willing is probably a little bit better. Probably play both, play some mixture. Griffin Protector, 4 mana for a 2/3. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. I played this in a Masters set recently. But that set had a few different ways of just like getting a pile of creatures into play on one turn. I guess this card works well with the 3-mana Squadron Hawk that's in the format. The Battalion Foot Soldier. Just like always have a creature to pump it. Yeah, card's pretty decent multiples and can kill really fast. Griffin Sentinel, 2 and a white, 1/3, flying vigilance. Not the worst creature ever. A little innocuous. Certainly takes a while to kill somebody with a 1/3 flyer, but it's doing double duty, right? It's attacking and it's blocking. Not a high pick, but not embarrassing to have in your deck either. What does God's Willing protect from that Indestructible doesn't already handle? Exile effects, Teferi down ticks, Vraska's Contempt. Indestructible doesn't really matter for any of that, right? 3 mana Teferi bounce, right? If they're just going like 3 mana Teferi bounce, you're fucking feather, and you're like staring at the Indestructible protection. Blockers, oh yeah, that's true too. Like if they have a flying blocker, you can like use it as evasion. You can't play instants with Teferi in play. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But the 5 mana Teferi point stands. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for correcting me there. Man, 3 mana Teferi does too much. That card does a little bit too much, right? I feel like every deck gets hosed by that. You play it before Teferi hits the board. Also, like in response to the Teferi, so they can't bounce your things. You can attack for lethal, maybe. Yeah, maybe. That's not very exciting, though. Hanged Executioner, 2 and a white for a 1/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, get a 1/1 spirit token with flying. Well, that's actually not terrible. And you can exile it to exile target creature. Someone was joking about this being modern playable, but it almost is, right? So it's multiple bodies. So if you're playing Lords and Anthem effects, like you're spreading out the +1/+1. Like if you have a Drexel Captain in play, Executioner is like 4 power and 4 toughness. You have 2 Lords. And it's 6, you know, it's just good. It just scales well with pump effects. And the ability's not terrible. This doesn't seem like a bad card to Coco into. Lingering Soul sees a lot of play in Modern, right? Or has seen. Yeah, I could see throwing like one of these into my Coco decks for sure. Coco Spirits, that is. Busted and limited. Oh yeah, I mean it's value and a removal spell and limited and evasion, so it's everything you want on your limited creature. I can see this card seeing a lot of standard play too. It's got the right stats for it. This card's like never really going to be overpowered, but it's got so much utility there that it's hard to imagine it not seeing constructed play somewhere. Herald of the Sun, 4 white for a 4/4 flyer. 3 and a white, put a 1/1 counter on another target creature with flying. Okay, so it can't pump itself, but 6 mana for a 4/4 flyer is already a good rate for limited. I'd probably pick this card relatively high, depending on how fast the format is. Always going to play it in sealed, right? Inspired Charge, 2 white, creatures you control get +2/+1. Card's usually fine. I mean, if you're doing that, right? If you're trying to go wide. Plays well with a bunch of flyers for sure. Inspiring Captain, just another way to go wide. Leyline of Sanctity. 2 white, enchantment. If it's in your opening hand, you begin the game with it. On the battlefield, you have hexproof. Yeah, this card saw a little bit of play when it was in standard. I saw people bring it in against like Valakut and stuff. A lot of Eternal play though. Awesome reprint. Loxodon Life Chanter. Ivory Mask. Ivory Mask has certainly got a little bit better, right? You want to sideboard it versus Red Deck Wins? Yeah, maybe. Maybe, right? Red Deck Wins sure is Bernie these days. Loxodon Life Chanter, 5 and a white, 4/6. When it enters the battlefield, you can have your life total become the total toughness of creatures you control. Interesting. That's an interesting ability. Especially since it's adding 6 toughness to the board. And then you can pump it. Give it +X/+X until end of turn, where X is your life total. So you could stack the comes into play trigger, and then if you add another 6 mana, so if you're sitting there with 12 mana, you'll just be like gaining at least 6 life. It does Vinkelseer. Anytime your life total goes up, it's counted as gaining life. So similarly, if you're gonna play a false, if someone played a false cure after life chanter, things would go poorly. Good old 12-minute combo. I mean, but it's a self-contained combo, right? It's not like you're combining a bunch of cards together. It just synergizes with itself. It's just kind of nice. Probably not seeing constructed play, but also pretty fucking great and sealed. Oh, this one. Loyal Pegasus, 1 mana for a 2/1 flyer. Can't attack or block alone. Gonna go really well in those white flyer decks that they apparently want you to be playing. There's a lot of flying matters cards in this set. Master Splicer, oldie but a goodie. 4 mana for a 1/1. Enters the battlefield, get a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token. Yeah, I love Splicers. They're real fun and limited. If you have Leyline in your sideboard for red deck wins in Aspirator, you bring it in against the mirror. Leyline of Sanctity?
What the f was that?
I don't know. Just for like Thought Scour or whatever, or the Thoughtseize or whatever. I don't think you actually have that many dead cards post board. Because I think the few removal spells that you're playing post board are like necessary in case your opponent has some creature they're just gonna rock you with. Like maybe they're boarding in heroes or something. I don't. But sometimes your opponent goes up to like 7 discard spells, and at that point, Leyline of Sanctity becomes pretty worth. Someone earlier pointed out how 3 mana Teferi matches up pretty well against the Leylines. Well, that's kind of a concern, like making you like completely recast the Leyline. It's kind of a bummer. Moment of Heroism. It's a fine pump spell. 2 mana, +2/+2, lifelink. Sure. Not a high pick by any means. Not embarrassing in your aggro deck. Oh, actual factual pacifism. Nice. Inquisitor, 2 mana for 2/2, can gain first strike. Sure. Yeah, we're only 1 color in, so sometimes pacifism's like real bad. There's like a bunch of ways of like blinking and bouncing creatures in the format. Usually it's a pretty solid removal spell though. A lot of people are excited about Planet Cleansing. Destroy all non-land permanents. In this, the age of everyone just playing a shit pile of Planeswalkers, Planet Cleansing does seem pretty enticing, doesn't it? Maybe get some old school forms of control going on. How does this pacifism art rate? There's a lot of good pacifism art. I don't know. Yeah, I don't feel too strongly about it. Raise the alarm. So there's some go wide commons in this format, so it will certainly be playing Raise the Alarms and then pumping the tokens and killing you with them. Rule of Law is an uncommon. Interesting card. You imagine you're sitting there with like 1 creature in play, and your opponent goes 3 mana Teferi, bounce your 1 creature, and then they play Rule of Law. You're just like staring at your hand. On the other hand, Rule of Law probably fails the Teferi test itself, right? If your opponent can bounce it and then like dump their hand. Yeah, probably just a reprint for older formats. I don't know. Shrug. Sephara, Sky's Blade. 4 white, white, white. 7/7. You may pay white and tap 4 untapped creatures you control with flying rather than pay its mana cost. Ooh, that's exciting. Flying lifelink. Other creatures you control with flying have indestructible. Yeah, that card is vaguely interesting in Modern, isn't it? Because Lingering Souls gives you 4 1/1 flyers, you know? Lingering Souls gives you 4 flyers already. So you could just like turn 4, have a 7/7 with pretty much no investment. Battle Screech is in Standard. Oh, that's sweet. Or are you talking about Battle Screech in Modern? Yeah. So you'd play Battle Screech and Lingering Souls. Maybe some Bitter Blossom action too. Some Squadron Hawks. Yeah. Missing a turn of attacking's worth something? I guess. They're just 4 1/1s. 4 1/1s take a while to kill somebody. And if you have extra like 1/1 flyers, they're blocking with indestructible that turn. And I mean, you have the 7/7 flying lifelink. Like your opponents, if you're playing in a matchup where your opponent's just like pathing you willy-nilly, you're just gonna get to 7 mana anyway. That could be sweet. Soulmander, 1 mana, 1/1, tap to gain a life. Cool. Yeah, they clearly want there to be a life gain sub theme in the set. So seems like a sweet one to reprint here. Squad Captain, 5 mana. Does her head seem like a little large for her body? Maybe it's just the perspective, because the head's closer to us, and like the spearhead is also like way larger than the shaft. It's probably just the perspective, because she's leaning forward, you know. Squad Captain, 5 mana for a 2/2 Vigilance. Enters the battlefield with 1/1 counter on it for each other creature you control. Okay. What's that average body gonna be like in limited? Like, say you're curving out. One awkward thing about Squad Captain is that it doesn't want you to trade 2-drops, right? It doesn't want you to trade at all to maximize the body. But if you go 2, 3, 4, then you're making a 5 mana 5/5 with Vigilance. It's not really that exciting, but certainly a reasonable card if you're doing the raise the alarm thing. You like the art? Nice. I like her expression. I like the spear. It's just like in your face. Starfield Mystic. 2 mana for a 2/2. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on Starfield Mystic. I don't know how to evaluate this card. It does not seem like it's designed for limited play, right? It seems like it's designed to be some wonky build around for Constructed. Hey, Hugh Manatee, thanks for the resub. It's the 19 months. 19 is the highest 2-digit prime number. Interesting. Thanks for that fact. Wait, did I say interesting? I meant tedious. Thanks for that tedious fact. Good with Benalia. Oh, History of Benalia. Just play History for 2 mana. I guess that's a real thing. You're fucking welcome. Thanks, Humanity. Steadfast Sentry, 2 and a white, 3/2, Vigilance. When it dies, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Sure. Find a little bit of filler. Yoked Ox, 1 mana for an 0/4. Note that this creature does not have Defender. So if you're pumping your squad, there's a few different ways to do that in your format here. With Inspired Charge and Inspiring Captain. You're doing the whole go wide thing. You're probably not going to be playing Yoked Ox in your deck, but if you're playing in an aggro mirror, you might be boarding it in. Could matter. Yeah, I definitely don't like my 1 mana 0/4s to have Defender. I've killed people with enough fucking 1 mana 0/4s in my years of playing limited that I definitely don't want them to have Defender.